His wife said 7 words. 7 words, and the greatest golfer alive stood there with his mouth open and absolutely nothing coming out of it. Think about that for a second. This is a man with 4 major championships. A man who's been ranked #1 in the world for over 175 consecutive weeks. A man who analysts, plural, across the board, call the best ball striker to pick up a club since Tiger Woods in his prime. And his wife said 7 words, and he had zero response. Now here's the part that will mess with your head. He wasn't speechless because she insulted him. He was speechless because she was right. In 3 straight weeks, Scottie Scheffler finished second. 3 Sundays. 3 runner-up trophies. 3 times being the best player in the field, and 3 times someone else walked away with the win. And in doing so, in losing, he broke a record that had stood untouched for over 80 years of professional golf. That's not a slump. That's not a collapse. That is something nobody has ever done before. Today we are going to go deep into who Scottie Scheffler actually is as a human being, deep into each of those 3 losses hole by hole, deep into what the numbers actually say about his dominance, deep into the psychology of elite competition, and what happens when the world's best player runs into 3 men having the rounds of their lives on the exact same 3 weekends. And we're going to end with the moment, the press conference, the smile, the 7 words from Meredith that I genuinely believe is one of the most revealing things any athlete has ever said in public. Buckle up. This one is going to take some time. And every minute of it is worth it. If you're new here, hit subscribe right now. This channel exists for exactly this kind of story, the human truth behind the sports score. Let's go. Who is Scottie Scheffler? Before we talk about the losses, before we talk about the records, before we even mention Augusta or Hilton Head or Miami, we need to understand the man. Because without understanding who Scottie Scheffler is, what happened this spring means nothing. With that context, it might be the most fascinating story in modern sports. So, let's start at the beginning. The early years. June 21st, 1996. Ridgewood, New Jersey. Scottie Scheffler is born. His family moves to Dallas, Texas when he's young, and that's where he grows up. Texas heat. Texas golf culture. A father who plays. A kid who turns out to be very, very good at hitting a small white ball with a metal stick. He goes to the University of Texas. He tears through college golf. He turns professional in 2018. And for a couple of years, he's good, not great, just good, learning the tour, figuring out what elite professional golf actually demands. Then something clicks. 2021. He wins his first PGA Tour event. 2022. He wins 4 times. And then, in the spring of 2022, he does something that sends shockwaves through the entire sport. He wins the Masters tournament at Augusta National. The green jacket. The one every golfer on earth dreams about from childhood. Scottie Scheffler puts it on for the first time, and you can see it on his face. Not relief, not vindication, just this quiet, almost disbelieving gratitude. That moment matters. Remember it. Because that look on his face tells you everything about who he is. The faith factor. Here is something Scottie Scheffler said publicly into a microphone, with cameras rolling and every reporter in the room typing. Asterisk, my faith comes first. My family comes second. Golf is third. Asterisk. Read that sentence again. The #1 ranked golfer in the world, the most dominant player in the sport since Tiger Woods, is telling you that golf is his 3rd priority. Not his 2nd, his 3rd. Now, athletes say things like this all the time. They talk about family and faith in press conferences, and sometimes it means something, and sometimes it's just polished PR language designed to make them look like good people. With Scheffler, it's different. And the proof isn't just in the words, it's in how he acts under pressure. There is a famous moment from the 2024 Masters. The morning before his final round, the morning he was about to go out and defend a major championship, Scheffler was arrested outside Augusta National in a chaos of traffic and miscommunication with police. He was handcuffed, charged, put in the back of a police car on the biggest golf morning of his year. Hours later, he was on the first tee. He shot 68. He won the tournament. After the round, he was asked what was going through his head on that first tee after the arrest. And his answer was not about adrenaline, not about using the anger, not about channeling the chaos into focus the way so many athletes describe. He said he prayed. He reminded himself that his identity was not in a golf score. He reminded himself that his wife loves him, his kids need him, and that a green jacket is just a jacket. And then he played the best round of the day and won the Masters. That is not performance psychology. That is actual belief lived out under maximum pressure. And when you understand that, you understand why Scottie Scheffler is so hard to rattle. Let me give you the full picture, because it's staggering. 4 major championships, 2 Masters titles, 1 PGA Championship, 1 Players Championship, 175 consecutive weeks as the world #1. First player in history to win back-to-back Players Championships. 7 tournament wins in 2024 alone, a number not seen since Tiger Woods in 2007. In terms of ball striking, the pure mechanical act of hitting a golf ball from point A to point B with precision and power, analysts, coaches, and former champions say Scheffler is the best they've seen since Tiger in his prime. Not comparable to Tiger. Not close to Tiger. Best since Tiger. In an era of professional golf that is arguably more competitive than it has ever been, more depth in the field, more athleticism, more data-driven training, more money, more pressure, Scottie Scheffler has been the single most dominant player on the planet. So when this man loses 3 weeks in a row, the entire golf world holds its breath and asks one question: what is happening to Scottie Scheffler? The answer, as we're about to see, is both simpler and more extraordinary than anyone realized. The man at home. One more thing before we get into the tournaments. Scottie Scheffler married Meredith Scudder in November 2020. They were high school sweethearts. In 2024, their first son Bennett was born. In 2026, their second son Remy arrived.
Picture that family.
Picture Meredith watching every Sunday round on television, or from behind the ropes, or waiting at home with 2 young boys while her husband plays golf in front of millions of people. Picture what it takes to be the spouse of the world's #1 athlete in any sport. The travel, the public scrutiny, the Sunday afternoons that feel like they last forever. And then picture this. Scottie Scheffler comes home after the 3rd consecutive runner-up finish.
He's exhausted.
He's been second best 3 Sundays in a row. The questions, the cameras, the pressure, all of it. He walks through the door, and his wife looks at him and cracks a joke. That joke, and what it reveals about who these 2 people are, is what this whole video is building toward. But we have to earn it. Let's go through the 3 losses one by one. The Masters, loss number 1, Augusta, Georgia. April 2026. There are great golf courses, and then there is Augusta National. The 2 categories don't overlap. Augusta is not just a great golf course. It is the most storied, most mythologized, most emotionally loaded piece of grass in the history of the sport. Bobby Jones designed it. The Masters tournament has been played there since 1934. The azaleas bloom every April. Amen Corner waits at holes 11, 12, and 13 like a trap set for the overconfident. And the 18th hole, climbing uphill toward the clubhouse, has delivered more heart-stopping moments than any closing hole in golf history. Scottie Scheffler had won here before.
Twice.
He was a 2-time defending champion walking onto those fairways in the spring of 2026, one of only a handful of men in history to achieve that. He was hunting a 3rd green jacket, which would put him in the company of legends: Jack Nicklaus, Phil Mickelson, Tiger Woods.
So yes,
the stakes were enormous. And what happened next was one of the most extraordinary 72-hole sequences in Augusta National history. Rounds 1 and 2, the mountain. After the first 2 rounds, 36 holes of tournament golf, Scheffler was at even par. Not bad, not great. In contention, technically. But Rory McIlroy was 12 shots ahead. Let me put that in perspective for anyone who doesn't track golf closely. 12 shots in a professional golf tournament is not a gap you come back from. It almost never happens. Even across the final 36 holes, 2 full rounds, gaining 12 shots on an elite player in form requires everything to go perfectly for you and catastrophically for them simultaneously. Golf media had already started writing McIlroy's victory recap. Social media was full of Rory's finally going to win the Masters content. The consensus in every corner of the sport was clear: this one is over. Even Scheffler would later admit He didn't really believe he could win after those first 2 rounds. He just went out and played golf. Saturday, 65, bogey-free. Scheffler tees off Saturday morning with absolutely nothing to lose and plays, by virtually any measure, a perfect round of golf. 65, 13 shots under Augusta's par, 72 benchmark in a single day. And, crucially, not a single bogey. 0 mistakes across 18 holes at one of the most demanding courses in the world, under the pressure of a major championship, while sitting 12 shots off the lead. Bogey-free rounds at Augusta are rare. Augusta is designed to punish. The par 3/12 at Amen Corner has eaten the dreams of more golfers than any other single hole on tour. The greens are faster than anything in professional golf. The elevation changes on your approach shots require a kind of intuitive geometry that takes years to develop. And Scheffler played it without a mistake. Sunday, 65 again, bogey-free again. He comes back Sunday, and he does it again. 65, bogey-free. Back-to-back bogey-free final rounds at Augusta National. At this point, something truly historic is happening, and everyone watching slowly starts to realize it. Since Augusta National first began recording hole-by-hole scoring data in 1942, over 80 years of Masters tournament history, no player had ever shot back-to-back bogey-free final rounds. Not Jack Nicklaus across his 6 Masters victories. Not Arnold Palmer. Not Tiger Woods in his 4 wins. Not any of the dozens of legends who have pulled on the green jacket over the decades. Nobody, until Scheffler. In a tournament he was losing. Final score, Scheffler, 11 under par. McIlroy, 12 under par. 1 shot. After 72 holes of championship golf at Augusta National, after Scheffler broke an 80-year-old record with back-to-back bogey-free final rounds, a single stroke separated them. Rory McIlroy wins the Masters. Scottie Scheffler finishes second. On the 18th green, McIlroy found Scheffler immediately after the final putt dropped. He pulled him into a long, genuine embrace. 2 champions who understand what it costs to compete at this level, sharing a moment that required no words. Scheffler accepted it with grace. That quiet, half-compressed smile. Eyes steady. Head up. The composure of a man who has decided in advance that his worth is not measured by a leaderboard. Runner-up number 1. And here's the thing that matters. Most players would go home after that. Fly back, spend a week decompressing, try to process the emotional weight of being 1 shot from history at Augusta. Scheffler flew directly to South Carolina. RBC Heritage, loss number 2. Hilton Head Island, South Carolina. The RBC Heritage at Harbor Town Golf Links. If Augusta is the cathedral, Harbor Town is the beloved old neighborhood church. Smaller, tighter, tree-lined, and precise. The lighthouse behind the 18th green, one of the most recognizable backdrops in professional golf. This course rewards accuracy over power. You can't bomb it straight and find the fairway. You have to think your way around. And yes, Scheffler was the defending champion here too. Going into the weekend at Harbor Town, Matt Fitzpatrick was leading the field. Fitzpatrick is an Englishman, a precise, methodical golfer who won the U.S. Open at Brookline in 2022 and has been one of the most consistent players on tour in the years since. He is not flashy. He does not generate headlines. He just hits fairways, hits greens, makes putts, and beats people. Scheffler was 7 shots behind him going into Saturday.
7.
At Harbor Town, where birdies are hard-earned and big swings in the leaderboard rarely happen. The Augusta loss hadn't even fully settled. And now Scheffler was facing another mountain. Saturday, 64. 7 becomes 3. Asterisk, asterisk. He shot 64. 7 under par. In a single round, on one of the tightest courses on tour, Scheffler turned a 7-shot deficit into a 3-shot deficit. That is not normal. That is not what golfers do at Harbor Town against a leader playing solid, steady golf. That kind of scoring requires everything working simultaneously, driver in the fairway, irons on the green, putter making everything inside 12 feet. Scheffler did it while the Augusta wound was still fresh. Sunday, 1 shot. A chip that almost was. A playoff lost. Asterisk, asterisk. Sunday. Scheffler and Fitzpatrick together in the final group. The crowd electric, the tension real, the kind of Sunday afternoon that reminds you why live sports are irreplaceable. Scheffler birdies 15. Back in contention. Scheffler birdies 16. One shot back. 18th hole. The lighthouse behind the green. Everything on the line. Birdie wins it. His approach shot is well struck. The wind grabs it at the last moment. Ball misses the green. He's short-sided, which in golf means you have very little green to work with between your ball and the hole. He chips. The ball rolls toward the cup, tracking, this might actually be going in, and stops 18 inches short.
Bogey.
Fitzpatrick can't make par either. Both players finish the regulation 72 holes tied. Playoff. One hole. 18th again. Winner take all. Scheffler's approach in the playoff misses the green again. Fitzpatrick makes par. Matt Fitzpatrick wins the RBC Heritage. Scottie Scheffler goes home second. He told reporters afterward, *, it's a shot here or there that makes a difference. I'm always my own biggest critic, but I feel like my game is right where it needs to be. *, no excuses. No frustration leaking through the professional mask. Just a man taking stock of reality with clear eyes and finding no reason to panic. Runner-up number 2. What this level of composure actually costs. I want to pause here because I think we breeze past something that deserves attention. 2 weeks. 2 runner-up finishes. Each one a gut punch in its own way. Augusta by a single shot after breaking an 80-year record. Hilton Head in a playoff after a chip that rolled to the edge of history and stopped. The emotional toll of competing at this level, of being that close twice, is something most of us will never fully understand. Elite athletes talk about it in interviews and therapy sessions and memoirs, and the common thread is always the same. The near misses cost more than the losses. The almost haunts you in ways that a clear defeat never does. And Scheffler was about to do it a third time. Cadillac Championship, loss number 3, Miami, Florida. Trump National Doral. The Blue Monster. Doral is everything Harbortown is not. Wide, long, demanding power as much as precision. The Blue Monster earns its name. It's a course that eats aggressive players and rewards controlled violence. The Cadillac Championship is one of the most prestigious signature events on the PGA Tour calendar, drawing the best field in the world outside of the majors. And into that field stepped a 27-year-old American named Cameron Young. Young is one of the most gifted ball strikers on the PGA Tour, a long, fluid swing, and the kind of iron game that makes coaches sit up straight and grab their notepads. He'd won before. He'd been in contention before. But in this particular week in Miami, Cameron Young was somewhere beyond his own ceiling. He was playing transcendent golf. A week where Scheffler's best wasn't enough. Scheffler hit the ball beautifully all week. His ball striking, which is already rated as the best in the world by virtually every metric the tour tracks, was arguably even cleaner than usual. He was finding fairways, hitting greens, setting up birdie opportunities. And Cameron Young was making birdies from everywhere. From rough. From unusual angles. From distances where most professionals are trying to two-putt. Young was draining everything, attacking every pin, playing with the reckless confidence of a man who has genuinely stopped thinking and is just letting the game flow through him. Those weeks happen in golf. They are rare. They're beautiful to watch. And they're almost impossible to beat. Final margin. Cameron Young wins by 6 strokes. 6. Not 1 like Augusta. Not a playoff like Hilton Head. 6 clear, unambiguous strokes. Scheffler finished 13 under par. Solo second. Again. His quote in the post-round interview is the one I keep coming back to. Asterisk on the greens, he was unbelievable. The first 27 holes, I don't think he missed anything. It was nuts. When you're hitting really good shots and holing a lot of putts, that's a recipe to run away with a golf tournament. Asterisk. Read that carefully. That is Scottie Scheffler, the man who just lost, the man who finished second for the 3rd consecutive Sunday, speaking about the man who beat him with what sounds like genuine admiration. Not bitterness. Not deflection. Admiration. That tells you everything you need to know about his character. Runner-up number 3. The number that breaks your brain. 3 consecutive runner-up finishes. 3 Sundays. 0 trophies. And Scheffler had earned Across those 3 weeks and the events before them in the same season, $10.5 million. $10,500,000 without a single tournament win. Let that land. $10.5 million. 0 trophies. Now understand this. Scottie Scheffler does not care about the money. That is not a cliché about him. It's a documented truth. He has said it explicitly. He has demonstrated it through his behavior under pressure.
He plays to win.
And the wins were not coming. Which brings us to Pennsylvania. And the press conference. And the 7 words that made golf history. The Meredith Moment Aronimink Golf Club. Newtown Square, Pennsylvania. The 2026 PGA Championship. Scheffler is the defending PGA Championship winner. He arrives at this tournament having just completed the most historically unusual 3-week stretch in modern professional golf. 3 consecutive solo runner-up finishes, a feat that, according to PGA Tour records, had not been achieved since Sergio Garcia in 2014. The pre-tournament press conference is a room full of cameras, reporters, microphones, and one man who has spent 3 weeks being asked, in 15 different ways, the same question. What is wrong with you? Scheffler sits down, fields the questions, talks about his game, his preparation, his mindset. And then someone asks about the 3 runner-ups, about how he processes that string of results, what he makes of the statistical rarity of it. And Scottie Scheffler smiles. Not a forced smile. Not a polished, media-trained deflection smile. A real, warm, slightly self-deprecating smile. The kind you smile when you're about to say something that's genuinely funny, because it's genuinely true. And he says, I think it was last week. My wife was like, "Hey Scottie, you're like the first guy in PGA Tour history to have 3 solo runner-ups in a row." The room laughs. Everyone laughs. Because it's funny. But let me tell you why it's also so much more than funny. Who Meredith is. Meredith Scheffler has been beside Scottie since high school. She was with him through the years of being good but not great on tour. She was with him when he won his first major. She was with him the morning he was handcuffed outside Augusta National before he went out and won the Masters. She was with him through the media scrutiny and the expectations and the endless travel that comes with being the wife of the world's #1 golfer. She has watched every one of his Sunday rounds with her heart in her throat. She has held their kids while he played the most important shots of his career. She knows, better than anyone alive, exactly what it costs him to compete at this level. And she is teasing him. Not cruelly, not dismissively, with the kind of warm, precise, "You can take this because I love you" humor that only exists between 2 people who are completely secure in each other. She's not rubbing in the losses. She's doing something far more powerful. She's reframing them. She's saying, in the shorthand that long-term love allows, look at you, losing 3 times and still making history. Only you, His response. The whole thing. And the world #1. Asked by a room full of reporters what he said back to his wife, a man with 4 major championships and 175 weeks at the top of the sport, said this. Yeah, it's probably because the guys who were playing that week could figure out a way to win one of those. He didn't come second in all 3. He is saying, the reason I hold this historical record, the reason I am the first man in PGA Tour history to finish solo runner-up 3 consecutive times, is because across those 3 weeks, 3 different men found a way to be just barely better than me. And I was the constant. I was there every Sunday. I gave everything. And each time, someone else found something extra. That response is doing several things simultaneously. It is humble. Genuinely humble. Not the performed humility of a press conference, but the honest humility of a man who has studied his own limitations clearly. It is analytical. He is not rationalizing the losses. He is accurately describing what happened. And it is, in a strange way, the most confident thing he could possibly say. Because it implies, without stating it, that his standard was high enough every single week that he was in a position to win. The problem wasn't Scheffler. The problem was that McIlroy and Fitzpatrick and Young were historic. And he had absolutely nothing to say back to Meredith. Because she was right. The bigger picture, What the numbers say, let me give you the full statistical context, because it reframes everything. Since 2022, Scottie Scheffler has been inside the top 2 on the leaderboard after 54 holes, after 3 rounds, 24 separate times. He has won 15 of those 24. That is a closing rate of 62.5%. In professional golf, that number is extraordinary. The best closers in the history of the sport hover around 50 to 60%. The idea that Scheffler converts nearly 2/3 of his 54-hole top 2 positions into victories is a number that, if you show it to any golf analyst, they will immediately ask you to check your math. The math is right. The 9 times he did not win from that position, those are the ones everyone is fixating on right now. Those are the slump. Those are the evidence of something being off. But look at who beat him in those 9. At Augusta, he lost to a Rory McIlroy who defended his major championship with perhaps the 2 finest final rounds of his career. At Hilton Head, he lost to a Fitzpatrick who was playing some of the most consistent and precise golf of his entire professional life in 2026. At Doral, he lost to a Cameron Young who put up a performance that many in the golf world are calling the most dominant week ever seen at that event. These are not flukes. These are not examples of Scheffler collapsing. These are 3 elite golfers having historically great weeks at the exact same time that Scheffler was being Scheffler. The collision of greatness. The cruelest thing about professional sport at the absolute highest level is that you can play the best golf of your life and lose. You can be better on 71 of 72 holes and lose. You can break an 80-year-old record and lose. And when that happens, when you are that close and it still isn't enough, the response reveals everything about who you truly are. The human being, faith, family, and James Reagan. One more thing. The thing I think matters most. Scottie Scheffler is involved with an organization called the Triumph Over Kids Cancer Foundation. It's a charity dedicated to pediatric cancer research and support for families going through it. His involvement is personal. When Scheffler was young, he had a close friend named James Reagan. They grew up together. And James Reagan died of cancer in 2014 as a teenager, before Scheffler had won a single professional tournament, before anyone outside of Texas junior golf knew who Scottie Scheffler was. Scheffler has never fully explained the depth of that loss in public. He doesn't need to. It's visible in how he carries himself, in the absence of the kind of ego you'd expect in a man this dominant, in the way he talks about his faith and his family, not as afterthoughts but as foundations, in the quiet he brings to moments of both triumph and defeat. James Reagan's memory lives somewhere in the man Scottie Scheffler is today. And that man, the one shaped by loss and faith and love, not just by talent and training, is the one standing on the 18th green at Augusta with that half-compressed smile, one shot out of the lead, history written in the bogey-free rounds behind him. That man is not destroyed by 3 consecutive runner-up finishes. That man is just getting started. After the 3 losses, Scheffler walked into the 2026 PGA Championship as defending champion. He said this about his preparation. In order for me to show up and play my best, I have to have rest. That's something I've learned as my career has gone on, how important that is. No panic. No overhaul. No crisis. Just a man who knows himself, his body, his mind, his limits, his priorities, with the kind of clarity that most people spend their whole lives chasing. Meredith said 7 words, and he had nothing to say back. Because the truest things don't need an answer. They just need to be received. Scottie Scheffler received it. And the wins are coming. Men who play golf as the 3rd most important thing in their lives, who lose with that kind of grace, who love with that kind of openness, who grieve with that kind of quiet depth, do not stay on the wrong side of history for long. Drop it in the comments right now. Was Meredith's line the greatest thing any spouse has ever said to a champion? 1 word, 2 words, whatever you've got. I'm reading every single one. If this video hit different, smash that like button. It is the single biggest thing you can do to help this channel keep making content like this. Subscribe if you haven't. Turn on notifications. We have more stories exactly like this one coming. This is Rick Analysis PGA. The stories behind the scores. The truth behind the trophy. See you in the next one.